speaking of the writers, we have writers and directors moving around, like you were saying, Raul, and we actually have the Andor director that's going to helm a new Star Trek movie. I'll read this one. This comes to us from Deadline. Even as it continues to develop the final chapter in its main Star Trek series, Paramount is looking to further explore the IP. The studio has tapped Toby Haynes to direct a new film that expands on the Star Trek universe, with Seth Grahame-Smith penning the script, JJ Abrams' Bad Robot is producing. Sources tell Deadline that while plot details are being kept under wraps, the project is an origin story that takes place decades before the 2009 Star Trek film that rebooted the franchise. Insiders add that the final chapter in that main series, Star Trek IV, remains in active development. And then here's a quote. Haynes was the main director on the Star Wars series Andor, which has become one of the more critically acclaimed series in that own universe since Lucasfilm began developing series for Disney+. Then this is spoken by Seth Grahame. Smith made his big break as a novelist with hits like Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter, and has since turned into one of the go-to writers/producers in the genre and fanboy worlds. His credits include producing It and penning the Lego Batman movie. I mean, listen, Raul, you are the Star Trek guy. So
Right. Well,
I want to hear your thoughts on this first before I start talking.
I'm a Star Trek guy up to a point. I haven't seen any of the new Trek, none of the Paramount Plus Trek.
You are not giving yourself enough credit. For all you listeners, Raul has a spreadsheet. He had a spreadsheet and watched almost every single Star Trek you could have imagined up
Yes.
until like the late 2010s. Okay, so he is up to date like majority of Star Trek. So
Yeah, well, everything up until what is it? Everything up until Discovery.
and you've
From
seen the JJ
Discovery,
Abrams movies, right?
I've seen all the. No, I love the Abrams Trek. Yeah. I actually do. I've seen everything except for the Paramount Plus stuff. I have not seen that yet. Because Paramount Plus is not something I'm subscribed to, but I'm trying to get subscribed to it at some point so I can watch it all. But I'm not
still waiting
up
on
on that.
still waiting on Nacho Libre 2. Once they put that out there, then I'm in. Nacho Libre 2, baby.
We
Make it happen.
we all are. We all are.
Hashtag.
Well, okay, so so this is taking place. Okay, I guess it's they talk about it in relation to the 2009 Trek, that it's a prequel to the 2009 Trek, but really, it's a prequel to it falls into both timelines, right? Because it's when you think about it, the 2009 Trek. If you see, I'm making a timeline, right? The 2009 Trek made a branch in the timeline, right? Then you got the Kelvin timeline. But if you're saying that it's a prequel to the 2009 Trek, then you're saying it's a prequel to both timelines, right? Because the timeline doesn't split. Listen to me. The timeline doesn't split until later. So if you got to understand there's two. There's the Kelvin timeline, then there's the regular Star Trek timeline. Basically, I don't know what I'm saying. Yes. So it's a
I hope whoever's watching this on YouTube is probably enjoying my face right now because I don't know what we're talking about. I just know that there's a timeline now.
Well, okay, so this is this is just earlier in the Star Trek timelines. Sure.
If I get a nickel for every time you said timeline just now, I would be so rich right now.
Well, how much time do I have to speak? What's my timeline before we go on to the next thing?
There's another.
How many timelines do I have?
Another one.
So cool. I don't know. I mean, I'm just like, when is the next Star Trek movie coming out? Like, this just sounds like another one of those things, like with the Star Wars stuff. Like, oh, we've got this movie coming. We've got this movie coming. Then all of a sudden, oh, by the way, we've got this other project too that's coming before this other movie that you're waiting on. I'm like, great. Okay, just make them. Whatever. Just do it. Make the ones you keep saying you're going to make. Okay, you want to add extra projects on there? Sure. Okay, fine. But are you still going to make the other ones? Because I don't know what's going on. You just sound like you're just throwing new projects at us. I'll watch it. I don't know. Let's see. Seth Grahame-Smith. I did like Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. And Pride and Prejudice and Zombies he also did. I like his stuff. There's a lot of good stuff that he's done. He's written, the Lego movie stuff, and he produced It. I like a lot of the stuff he's worked on. So yeah, a prequel, set in around the era of what, like the origins of Starfleet?
I guess so. I mean, okay, let me drop a ball here for a second. Let me see what
They
you
don't
think
really
about
give
this.
us a lot on the plot. I'm just assuming.
Let me ask you this. Now, I think we reported a while back about Star Trek 4 being announced and the cast being like, oh, is it? Okay, I guess it's announced. How much money are you going to offer us, huh?
Yeah.
And so maybe I'm making up all this drama in my head, but like the odds of them coming back. I mean, dude, you got I'm going to blank out on everybody's name right now. You got Chris Pine coming back possibly. You got oh my
Zoe
God.
Saldana. Zoe Saldana.
Saldana. Did you know that? She's
Saldana.
got an A.
Saldana.
And what's
Zachary Quinto.
Zachary Quinto? Zachary Quinto, yes.
Carl Urban. Carl Urban.
Carl, of course, who could forget Carl Urban? Listen, I mean, you got all these actors who are huge celebrities now. They've become more and more big as these movies have come out.
Right.
So, like, or since these movies have come out, you know? Plus, I mean, also some of these guys, they have way more credibility even before Star Trek. So, like, they've only gotten bigger, is what I'm trying to say.
And supposedly Chris Hemsworth, if they're still going with the rumor from like a couple years ago that they're bringing back George Kirk, if that's still what's happening,
so
then
there's a lot of different ideas you could throw around, and I'm gonna go back to your timeline thing, because if you're claiming there's a timeline, there's a timeline. Let me push my glasses up. There's a timeline.
there's a timeline.
A timeline. Listen, if there's gonna be more timelines, why don't you change the 2009 storyline? If you do a prequel, kill Captain Kirk. Like, kill him before he has a son. What if that happened?
No. Wait a minute. What are you talking about? What are you talking
Here,
about?
I'm throwing a theory. I'm throwing an idea
I don't want
out
to keep
there.
messing with time.
No. Listen to this. Because if these actors, what if they don't
What are we
want to
doing?
roll? Look,
Yes,
I'm just spitballing. I'm just spitballing. Everybody,
Yes.
hang with me here. Who
All
said that? Listen. If I'm saying, if you kill off Chris Pine's character before he's even born, scratch that. He was never born.
Just
right?
leave stop changing stop changing the future anymore.
Well,
stop making more you're making more branches. Stop.
Wait. Let me ask you this. So if the timeline changes again, it gives the movie productions an excuse to use new actors to recast Star Trek.
I don't think they want to keep doing that.
So no more Chris Pine.
I don't think we want to keep seeing that. I think this is what I think. I think they're having a hard time getting all these people back on board. So they're just like, well, that's basically what you're saying. Yeah. So Star Trek 4. Oh yeah, that'll happen. But hey, look at this. Look at the prequel. Look how shiny this other prequel. Do we have that cast back yet? Hey, look. Yeah. Offer them more money. See if they'll take it. Hey, prequel.
But that's why it's like, dude, that's such an easy out. If the original cast just won't return, then change them. You can recast them now because you're doing a prequel story that now goes into another timeline.
But then just put us out of our misery and say that Star Trek 4 is not happening. Just tell us that. Just tell us that.
Just start over. Just start it all over if you're gonna do that, for God's sake. But
I mean, I don't know what you can tell in that era that, I don't know, hasn't been told before. I mean, again, the details, we know very little. I mean, it just says decades before. Yeah, decades before the 09 Trek. Like, how many decades? Where are we in between First Contact and the formation of Starfleet? And, like, where is this going to fit? I don't know. But
well, also, let me throw this in also.
Watch it.
the writer, I mean, dude, we're getting the writer from Andor to come back and write this stuff.
That's true. We're kind of
incredible.
We do need to talk about that because that's kind of a big one. Is the writer from Andor?
I'm actually I'm currently rewatching it. Oh, yeah, sorry, the director. Yes.
Yeah, the director.
I'm currently rewatching Andor as we speak with a couple of buddies, and as I'm watching it, it's just a big reminder as to why this is one of the best Star Wars has ever been. It really is Star Wars for adults.
It takes it to a new level. It really does. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a buddy of mine who is not into Star Wars because he thinks it's too fantasy and too much for kids, which I scream, you take that back. But, as I've gotten him to watch Andor, he's really started to like Star Wars in general because this really is Star Wars for adults. Like, it feels more grounded, more political, more everything that you'd want as an adult in Star Wars. Listen, I'm always going to miss a Jedi. I like Jedi swinging their lightsabers and having samurai poses, okay? But I get it, like I get it. I get why people like Andor as much as they do. So bringing this guy along to direct this project for Star Trek, I mean, listen, I'm not as big of a Star Trek fan as you are, but I do like the 2009 Star Trek trilogy. Um, I think it works for me, and if they have a good idea, then I'm okay with being open to it. As long
Let's hope
as
so.
as long as it's not like this whole we're just wasting time so that we can get that cast back for the next movie.
Mm.
Or if they're setting up the prequel because the prequel storyline gives us something to look forward to for the fourth movie, then that could be something too. Make it a two-parter then. Part 1, part 2, part 2 is number 4. Huh? Huh?
Right. Yes.